So let's enjoy 5 minutes of silence and stillness together as we settle into this wonderful gathering. Rather than sitting in complete silence, we might think of sitting in spaciousness, the remarkable and almost inconceivable space that links Hawaii to the mainland, across to England and Europe. But aside from geography, just the spaciousness of holding ourselves and each other in this warm embrace. Maybe you hear the sounds of our environment here, maybe the shama singing.
On cue.
And if you will pause for a moment, I'm going to have Jessica and John Eric pass out some papers that have the chants, because the folks here aren't used to the small chants that we have, and I'd like for you to be able to hear voices. And so those of you that are here, the small verse at the bottom of the poem that says robe chant or verse of the robe, I'm not sure what it says. We're going to say that together, and you're going to see everyone online, but not hear them. Say it with you. This is what's normally spoken or chanted at the end of our period of Zazen. And we'll do it 3 times. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. That chant, which is classically done as we leave morning zazen and literally put on robes if you were in a monastery, is echoed here because we're really cloaked in this field of benefaction, literally, the goodness of Hui Holana. And I was thinking as we sat that we're sitting in something that Ricky Cook built in honor of his mother. This is Nancy's Peace Pavilion, and she was pretty instrumental in making sure that the Maharishi came to the United States and brought transcendental meditation decades and decades ago. And so we're actually sitting in a space dedicated to someone who dedicated much of her life to meditation and teaching meditation. But when we chanted that final line about the one true nature, harmonizing all being, I'd like that to be echoed, since we're in Hawaii, by someone who is more Hawaiian. And so I invited my friend, and some of you can imagine, last night I said to her, would you help me introduce things? And she was excited and anxious, I think. Nervous about this. So I'm going to move over a second. So my new friend, Mina Morita, who lives on Kauai at this time, is going to join me. And she'll tell you a little more about what she has.
Aloha. Yesterday, one of the things you
Move a little
said,
bit closer to me. There you go.
one of the things that Flint said was that coincidences are a gift from God. And I haven't used this greeting in a while, mainly because I haven't been in public for a while amongst people I did not know. And this resurfaced.
She's out of a conversation. She sent me an essay she'd written for her blog, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we want to do. So I asked her if she would offer it to you.
And then in this environment, hearing the birds, it's even more appropriate. So ano ai me ke aloha e na hulu mamo like ole. Greetings with aloha among all of us, birds of many feathers. So I learned this formal greeting from Puanani Burgess, a community developer, a poet, and a Buddhist priest. She in turn learned it from Pilahi Paki, a Hawaiian spiritual leader who shared this sacred knowledge about aloha to Hawaiians and non-Hawaiians as a gift to the world. The kauna, or the hidden meaning of this greeting, is that even though we may look different, we are all the same. Through the Human Genome Project, we know that 99% of humans are basically the same, but unfortunately, most conflicts focus on our differences, be it race, gender, or religion. Respect for nature, the culture of peace, compassion, and love. These are the kinds of values that we share and is embodied in one word, aloha. We are here in this special sanctuary, Hui Ho'olana, on the island of Molokai, to develop, get that, this gift of aloha through photography. Aloha kia kua pu. Aloha is God, God goes with you.
Thank you. And would you just read the welcome one more time in its English translation so you can hear it one more time?
Okay. Ano ai me ke aloha kākou e nā hulu mamo like ole. Greetings with aloha to all of you, birds of many feathers.
Mahalo. You can see why I wanted her to offer the greeting. It's really quite special. The folks that are with me right now here have gathered for this photography retreat, but in some ways, it's not just a workshop retreat. It's more of a contemplative retreat. The name that was given to this, if you looked on the website, was Rekindling the Creative Spirit. And in some ways, what's happening now as we move to the edge of these big changes in the pandemic is we're rekindling our spirit, our connections, our hearts and minds, just like Nina was talking about. And the subtitle for the retreat was Seeing Simply, Creatively Expressing Our Vision, Reconnecting with the Environment, our photography, and ourselves. But think of how this relates to our everyday practice. Seeing simply with beginner's mind, responding to that question, how simple are you willing to let this be? Creatively expressing our vision. What is your deepest aspiration and your vow for your life? What do you want to offer to the world? And reconnecting with environment, photography, and ourselves. Just noticing what we create as we move in the world with each other and how we are created and shaped by that interaction. And it's this interaction that Mina was talking about that I want to focus on today. Actually, I was having a conversation with one of our members that you know. She's come online a few times, Laura Thomas, a beautiful young woman. And she said, I'm always asking questions and wondering who I am and trying to find my way. And maybe she was very anxious. Maybe someday I'll stop doing that and I'll know who I am for sure. And I'll understand what I'm here for. And I said, Laura, I think that's just your shape. You're the kind of person who will always ask questions and always wonder because it's your edge of aliveness. And if you were to find a place of completion, then there'd be kind of a deadening. So we want to keep the questions alive and find out what our shape is, even as we face what seems like so many deep questions and almost the inconceivable as we come out of the pandemic. Last week in one of my practice discussion groups, a wonderful student from the Twin Cities area, Ruth Markovitz, brought a poem. And I'll share the poem later on. All the folks here have a copy of it. And I'll make sure that you have it online with the recording. I'll read it a couple of times. Listen to how beautiful this poem invites us to step forward in the ways that I've been speaking about for probably the last month. The title is The Cure. The poet who I've not heard of before, Albert Huffstickler. And here's his offering. We think we get over things. We don't get over things. Or say we get over the measles, but not a broken heart. We need to make that distinction. The things that become part of our experience never become less a part of our experience. How can I say it? The way to get over a life is to die. Short of that, you move with it. Let the pain be the pain, not in the hope that it will vanish, but in the faith that it will fit in, find its place in the shape of things, and be then not any less pain, but true to form. Because anything natural has an inherent shape and will flow towards it. And a life is as natural as a leaf. That's what we're looking for. Not the end of a thing, but the shape of it. Wisdom is seeing the shape of your life without obliterating, getting over a single instant of it. I think it would be good to hear it one more time since you don't have it in front of you. You want to read it, John Eric?
Sure.
Come on over. We'll have another voice, another face. And many of you from Austin, of course, know John Eric, our board president for Appamada, working in the garden and other places here today.
I've also started my morning with a lot of coffee, so I'm a little nervous. We think we get over things. We don't get over things. Or say we get over the measles, but not a broken heart. We need to make that distinction. The things that become part of our experience never become less a part of our experience. How can I say it? The way to get over a life is to die. Short of that, you move with it. Let the pain be pain. Not in the hope that it will vanish, but in the faith that it will fit in. Find its place in the shape of things, and be then not any less pain, but true to form. Because anything natural has an inherent shape and will flow towards it. And a life is as natural as a leaf. That's what we're looking for. Not the end of a thing, but the shape of it. Wisdom is seeing the shape of your life without obliterating, getting over a single instant of it.
What's moving through now?
I feel just the fullness of this moment. I have a lot of gratitude for you and everyone here and everyone there, our community.
It looked like it kind of caught you for a moment.
Yeah.
And your reading of it, I could feel the truth of it moving through you. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Probably you can get a sense, a real feeling, an understanding of why, after Ruth brought this to our group, I wanted to share it more fully. Because it speaks of that shaping that Laura was asking me about. How do we understand our own shape in the world and how we're shaped? There's another poem which I won't read today from David White called Sometime. And in it, there's a line where he says, we receive questions that come to us that to stop what we're doing right now and to stop what we're becoming while we do it. To understand how we naturally and habitually organize our life to become this person, and how if we take time to stop and at least go slower and connect with each other and with nature like we're doing here with all of these people, and to look at it very carefully through the lens of our cameras, something shown back to us, and we're taken by the process. And we move in the world in a different way. He says we get over things, but we don't get over things. Our job is not to get over the pandemic, to make the distinction that he speaks about. The things that become part of our experience never become less a part. This will always be part of us. I gave an example the other day. I said, suppose someone was asking me deeply about this, and I said, suppose you broke your leg and you had a surgery or whatever to set it, and maybe you had a little support in there and it healed perfectly. And you're able to walk and run and it was fine. But if you took an x-ray or you looked at the skin on your leg from the surgery, you'd always see that there's an imprint, a mark, something is different that wasn't there before. And that's like each moment and every moment. And this is how we impact each other. The way to get over a life is to die. It's a very strong sentence. I remember with Norman Fisher, our wonderful Zen senior ancestor right now, he said he has many students who are physicians, and he said, you know, on the death certificate, when it says cause of death, you should just put life. What else is there, you know? The rest is details. And he says, short of that, we move with it. The pain be not less pain necessarily, but not the hope that it will vanish, but the faith it will fit in. That we can move with it in some way, which doesn't make it deeper and doesn't make things worse for ourselves and others, but is actually part of the flow of life. What's available to us and what we can give to each other. So we look not for the end of things, but the shape of it, and wisdom. And I would say also compassion. Wisdom and compassion are seeing the shape of your life, which is what practice allows us, without obliterating or getting over a single thing. Our practice is not to get rid of or get over anything, but to see how it becomes part of our being that moves in the world with more wisdom and compassion, not with hopefully the crippling effects of trauma or difficulties that then spreads in that way. So these are the kind of reflections I thought might be inviting for you to reflect on what is the shape that you feel you're coming into more intimacy with right now. And what are the things that, as you become more intimate with the shape of your life, you might think from a position of judgment that you're misshapen. But really it's a resistance to the shape. But if you become more intimate and let it teach you something, you can find something that will free you, that will be more liberating. What's the edge that you find in your practice now, which provides a possibility for either being, I would say, resistant or worrisome or something, but actually is a portal, is a Dharma gate, an opening. And if you have those edges and you have those questions and something that you'd like to really explore more deeply, then raise your hand. The folks here can raise their hand if they want, and they can come sit next to me if they have a question they'd like to ask. But please, let's continue as we always do, and come forward, connect. You might be shy since it's a different environment. And you know I'll call on you if you don't raise your hand. Oh, there's Nelda.
So what a lovely, lovely poem, and what a lovely community. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Flint. So this is going to sound very simplistic, but it actually touches on the poem you just read, and was an amazing portal for me. And here's what it is. I was interested in being the monitor one day this week at services, weekday services. And I read the description. There were lots of things the monitor does, but the thing that overwhelmed me was the clackers. Hitting those clackers just right, just the right time. And I failed miserably. I just want everyone to know that. And so, but before I failed miserably, I was so anxious about it that I sent a little email or text, I don't remember, to Kim Mosley, who's one of the members here, one of the Sangha family here in Austin. And his response was this: what if perfection is being imperfect? It had never dawned on me. And it took the entire pressure of that construct I had created about what perfection means and doing those clackers just right completely off me. And even when I failed miserably the next day, I felt wonderful. Now, everyone else might not have enjoyed the sound as much, but the point of that is that that one statement created a shift in my entire life and in my relationship to everybody. Because as I meet new people and people I've known a while, what if the shape of them, exactly as they are, is perfection? So that's all.
That's the way to look at people. And here's, I'm gonna say out loud a sentence that these people can't hear, and then I want you to say it back to them, okay? So this is like in secret. Ready? Tell them. And the same is true in your photography. Now say that. Say that out loud.
And the same is true in your photography. What if perfection is imperfection?
Just learning our shape in the world. Yeah. Thank you, Nelda.
Thank you, Clint.
You know, being a psychotherapist, I was in therapy, it seems forever, and training as a psychotherapist forever. Come on in, Bonnie. I'll just
we have
say a little bit.
we have Suzanne next, Flint.
Who is it?
Suzanne Kilkus next.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Hi, Suzanne. Some people are waving at you here.
I'm waving back. Who said that? There's Vicky.
Various folks that know you from here. I'm going to turn it for a second.
Oh,
People that knew you from the photo workshop.
my buddy, so good to see you.
And you'll appreciate this, Suzanne. I was going to say, as a psychotherapist, all the therapy I did on my own perfectionism, it helped, you know, here and there. But really, through practice is where I began to find the spaciousness and release so it didn't, I could come to terms with it even though I still have it, but it's part of the shape of who I am and it doesn't run me anymore. It's a little bit different way. So,
Well, that's perfect for me, Flint, because my life has not gone the way I wanted it to go to this week. I'm
yeah,
supposed to be in chemo,
yeah.
and my blood wasn't good enough,
Oh dear.
too high risk for infection. So here I am at the Hui. What an exchange. I would not have been able to be here. Um, that is really wonderful.
And
And
for
there,
those who do not know, how many times have you physically been here?
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm here again. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. This is just wonderful. And while I am just thrilled to be able to be here today, the part of me that wants to hold on to being really mad about not having things be the way I wanted them to be, because this
Mm-hmm.
was my last treatment week, and then I could be tested to find out if it's worked. Um, there's I've got this conflict. I mean, it's not terribly strong, but it's oh, I'm getting something better than I wanted, but I still want what I wanted.
Sure.
Yeah.
And,
So
and do you feel the container, which doesn't have to choose but can hold them both?
I can feel it. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good, thank you for saying that. I can feel it. Even as you opened your arms, I felt myself expand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what it's like to breathe into this space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And both things are true. It's
Yes.
disappointing, it's maddening, it's frightening.
Mm-hmm.
It's and this is lovely and special and wonderful. All of it, all of it, all of it.
Mm-hmm. All of it. The
Yeah, and
whole,
that's really the function of our practice, as you know and as you teach,
yeah.
is becoming this larger container for life.
Mm.
So
Thank
life energy in all of its forms can flow through us instead of being blocked,
mm-hmm.
which creates the suffering.
Yes. You sending the picture of where we were going to be today, the pavilion.
Yes,
I want to thank Ricky again for building this. Um,
yes,
and for there he is. I love seeing him there. And for all the times that I sat there and that I get to sit there again.
yes.
This is really helping me release the discouragement I felt this morning.
Right.
Thank you for being there. Thank you.
And in support of your healing, your name is on the altar in the yurt.
Hmm. Oh,
So
wow.
we're sitting with you on your behalf,
You. Thank you so much.
hoping that you continue to heal and can continue your treatments forward.
Thank you. Hmm.
Aloha. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Flint. So I have two little back things I want to say, or two little, well, whatever. So, the tears started to move through me with reading the verse row. And then I have been wanting to study a koan. And I realized that a koan, I have this sense that a koan is going to choose me. So here's what's my practice edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's how we in our community are reading the verses during service. Okay, so it is driving me over the edge, my edge. And I was timekeeper Sunday evening, and I was so distracted and so caught up in my judgment or my dissatisfaction or my impatience that I rang the bell too soon. And then I rang the bell as I was trying not to ring the bell.
Yeah.
And I was so like, oh my God, what's going, so it's really my edge. And I know that you will say to me that these forms are like so oh, I can't think of the word that you use or have said to me, but anyway, brings me to my knees, brings me to the altar.
Well, Bonnie,
Yes,
you have a very, very deep devotional practice.
that's the word.
That's the word. And these things mean a lot to you.
Yeah.
And that strong meaning and the strong current that flows through you is part of your shape. If it's not met, you also have conditioning that can take you towards judgment or, something that's worrisome, rather than compassion for those who are struggling with meeting the form. But the devotional practice you have really is your heart of compassion. You're wanting to call people forward into the beauty that you feel and see. Because it means something to you.
Mm-hmm. And it's our container.
And because you care.
Yeah. And it seems,
It's the same.
yeah.
It's similar kind of heartbreak, because I know you're a mother. When you see a child doing something that you wish you could prevent them from having to experience, but you know you can't, it's out of the
Yeah.
love.
Mm. Mm.
What's happening?
Um, I'm not sure. Just a lot of weeping.
And as you settle into that space, a little stronger breeze just came through. I don't know if you could hear it. That's the breath of the ancestors. That's the devotion of the Aina, the land, moving through here, meeting you.
And ancestors are very much up for me, as is. So yesterday we were at Mickey Joe's for a drumming, and as he began to speak about what we were creating, I noticed all these birds come in, take their place, and they stayed just long enough to make sure, and I chose not to speak it, but so there's a lot moving in me. There's a lot moving in me. I'm really reconnecting with wanting to connect with horses and feel more alive in my body with the compassion that another animal being can give, and horses in particular. And in fact, well,
It's
yeah,
dogs here.
yeah.
Everywhere.
And those birds were just fabulous. Anyway, it's so good to be with you, and I'm aware that I don't want to take up too much space because there's so many people here. But
Be all the space that you are, to let all of that love flow through you.
yeah. But oh yes, those ancestors. So thank you for sharing that with me.
Mm-hmm.
They really are present. They are really.
And one more thing, Bonnie. Guess what you are?
An ancestor?
Yeah.
I am.
We'll all become the ancestors.
Yes. And
That's
yes,
why it's important to practice, so that you leave that shape in the world.
that is the question for me. How is it that I want to be in the world in this last third of my life?
Right. And we don't always get to know, but that's where we rekindle our creative spirits, so we can bring forward our best. And we may not always get to know, but at least we meet our aspiration and our vow in that way. Oh, there's a bigger breath.
I just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
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 So much love for you
Love you
and
too, Bonnie. Thank
and
you.
all.
Mhm.
I have Sue next.
Sue, we have a lot
Hi.
of activity from Madison today, don't we?
Well, we do seem to. I guess it's a great place. Sun shining, wind's blowing. It's great. Reading this poem today. Well, just before we came online, I went to put something in my recycling, and I had to move a little box. And when I did, what should I find? There was my telephone. Yes. And I thought to myself, well, my dear, you thought you were just so calm through all this, didn't you? Well, you're not, and you better pay attention. And it was just, you know, the line that said, we sort of make ourselves and work toward that image that we have, and there we are. And of course, we in the Midwest, we're stalwart, we're hardworking, we take what comes, and we're ready for it. And when you do that, of course, you block out a lot of feelings, and you can't let things flow through you very well. They stop and get the reject button.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, okay. You know, I told you the other day that my husband fell.
Yeah.
And that
How's he doing?
Well, he's getting a little better every day, and he's getting a little faster on that walker. But, you know, he is finally saying, I guess a knee replacement is in order. I'm thinking seriously about it. But he has some heart issues and things. So, you know, we're visiting various doctors to find out if this is a possibility and all this kind of thing. And, you know, I go to the orthopedist, and she says, well, if you decide to do this, you call me and I'll put you in touch with the right people. And, you know, I have to, everything I can do not to shout out, I'll do it, you know, because if it were me, that's what I would do. I'll do it, you know, anything to be mobile. And, you know, he has a different way of looking at things, and he has more health issues. So I've just been thinking about, okay, letting it flow. Just, it's okay. You don't have to be so strong. You don't have to be so tough. You don't, you know, you can.
So who are you if you're not all of that you've practiced your whole life?
Well, I'm a little crumbly in there.
You what?
I'm a little crumbly inside there.
That's what I wondered, because you've spent an awful lot of years becoming what you just described.
Yes.
And you see it. There's a part of you that's kind of stepped back enough through practice to witness it.
Mm-hmm.
But who's there if that's not your only model for how one should be in the world?
Well, I think there's a soft person inside, a tender, not, you know, a tender person inside. And sometimes she gets to come out, but mostly she's just in there.
Well, she's the one I'm inviting now, of course.
Mm-hmm. And I remember years ago thinking, if I cry, I'll never stop crying. So I can't cry. And I don't remember what it was, but something broke the crying. And I did cry and cry. And I also stopped. And so I keep thinking about that. You know, it's all right. It's okay. But it's, you know, it's had 80 years to work in there. So it's mighty hard to let go of.
What does the softness want right now? Not the weakness, the softness.
Well, the softness wants to be held very tenderly. The softness wants to kind of just reach out and embrace. And the softness wants to be very non-judgmental about whatever comes and accepting. That sounds nice, doesn't it?
A lot of people
Yeah.
are enjoying that.
Yeah.
So look at me and at least the few people you can see.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to reach their arms out now like this. Reach your arms out so we can hold you. Everybody in the room is doing it.
Oh, I'm going to hold you. Thank you.
And you can hold us back. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
And then now let's meet, so you can actually feel. Yeah. And where do you want that to go? How about your heart?
Mm-hmm.
And now just breathe there for a moment. You're always going to be that feisty Sue that can handle things. And at the same time, you can know and include and hold and be held. I was just speaking to someone recently about softening into strength. How to not get tight so you can be strong, but to soften into strength.
And that's one thing I've noticed is that I find and so I just,
Yeah, exactly.
The breathing helps begin.
So
but there's more than just breathing to it, because I can breathe and kind of relax, but I guess what I do is not always relax everything. There's a part of me that holds, and I want
as you
to
remember what it's like for us to have held our hands out.
Yeah.
And what that's like for your shoulders to go down and breath. And then rather than going further, let that sort of integrate, let it settle, let it take the time. That's the other piece. Sometimes
you mean not all at once? Come on, Flint. Okay.
Take the time to let it settle.
Yeah.
Because that's being nice to yourself, very kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Have Bridget next.
Mm-hmm. And it looked like Wayne was asking a question. I suppose you're looking at it there. Bridget? There you go.
Oh, you're muted now, Bridget.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Well, I feel myself a little teary-eyed, and I think my practice edge is that it's been 2 years since I've seen my son, because he is in Germany and he's just finished up his thesis, and we had a lot of interaction because he asked me to help him proof it, for grammar and punctuation and sentence structure and some things like that. I certainly don't understand any of the topic, which relates to testing components of electrical systems to see how they work in future battery electric vehicles. But when I think about said his birthday is tomorrow, and I took a little card and had some of our family members sign it, and my sister sent something to him a week ago. It's with the expense of sending things overseas, we don't send packages very often, but I want to write him a letter. But what's happened recently, as you know, I have a new grandson, and Paul was our second child, and so just hearing Bonnie talk about holding your arms out, I can remember when he was learning to stand, and so you hold your hands out and they walk towards you and you embrace them, and I miss that so much, and I want to write him a letter, but things came apart in his dad's and my marriage by the time he was 2. And I know he's had a lot of drama from that, and it's I don't it's how do you this idea of being nice to yourself and softening and still being recognizing that it's your strength is really hard.
Follow your impulse. Write to him.
Because as I was going over that thing, I could see he was berating himself and got a lot of my perfectionistic tendencies, and so I'll do it. I'll write him, but
Yeah.
it's
All the parents here are chuckling a little bit. It's like, oh boy, when you
yeah,
see yourself in your child, but the heart that is open right now that you're showing us, right from that one.
okay. Well, and I want to thank everyone present, and especially Ricky for bringing this to us from your location, because I know Mary Morgan Cook, and have, I know she's not well, and I'm just glad that you all are preserving the beauty and experience of Hawaii, and I hope to come there someday. Thank you.
I hope you can too. Did you hear who she was talking about? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Bye bye for now. Thank you, everyone, for being present.
Thank you, Bridget. Bridget's an architect.
We have Josh and Trudy, and then Wayne's also in the queue
Okay.
as well, Flint.
Hi, it's just me. He's not saying anything.
Okay. Ignore this man.
Ignore him. I was I was really fortunate. I mean, just hearing Bridget talk, I felt how fortunate I was that I've just been holding my great grandson. I went to see Billy today, and my granddaughter said, "You know a lot of shit, don't you, Nana?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." But there's something about that holding, being true to your shape,
Mm-hmm.
that feels like there's I'm so glad I've stayed alive long enough, and it feels like it's about the time it's taken to begin to have something of that. That this is what this looks like. This is what being a great grandmother, however reluctant I am about that, to appreciate the grace and the beauty of that too. That there's something in that. So as I do, I went with my lovely friend Mary. Last year we were down in Cornwall, and I went to see this beautiful rock formation that we'd found. We went there specifically, and so I wrote this, and it felt to me like this is kind of something about it. So come and see these exciting rocks, I said to my friend. Exciting rocks, she said. What, do they dance? No, I said, just wait and see. Then as we turned the corner, my heart sank. The exciting rocks had indeed danced, shimmied their way off the cliff face, and now lay in an unremarkable heap, the raw earth above them like a badly skinned knee. Their previous rounded egg-like perfection scrambled on the ground. Oh, I said, my heart pierced with the loss of ancient beauty. Oh, I said, you too, you too.
So lovely. And I'm knowing you so well, I know how much it means to feel the gratitude of this time and this place, which you weren't sure that that's how it would unfold. And it's like your flowers in the garden. You don't always know how they're going to unfold, but you tend to them, and you've tended well, Trudy, and bloomed so beautifully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's working.
Yes. Do you hear us?
Well, hello, old friend.
Hello, hello.
Nice to see many people that I have seen at the Hui. Hello to
That's
Rick
right.
in the background.
Yes.
And Donna and Margaret and Suzanne.
Yeah, I see all these people that you were here
Brings
with in
back
the circle.
lovely memories of wonderful times together in a wonderful place. Maybe one of the most wonderful places on earth. Um, you know, Flint, this morning, I don't know, it was in the poem or if you used the word. I think it was in the poem, and it was the word misshapen. And
I
you know
mentioned
me
that
well enough to
sometimes
know
we
that
think our
I've
shape
been
is
working
misshapen.
for a lifetime on, accepting my body. And one of the really interesting things that's happened in this second second part of my life, when I have been diagnosed with, first of all, I've had an acoustic neuroma, and the treatments led to losing a great deal of my mobility because of neuropathy. And I've had the experience, however, in this of discovering that there was a reason why in my teenage years I was a little off, weak in the legs, weak in my ankles, had quirks, and it's because I do have Charcot-Marie tooth disease,
Oh,
CMT for short. Uh, Charcot and Marie and Tooth were the French doctors who diagnosed the thing. So,
hmm. And
so
you
in
just
my
now
own
discovered
practice,
this.
I guess the edge is I'm still back to that, working on that part of me that gets another chance to work through the misshapen
Mhm.
misshapen identity or the misshapen part. And it would be okay if I didn't have to do that, but I guess that's where I am.
Yeah,
And in spite of that, I feel pretty good about my life. But there sure is a lot of grief about that.
of course,
It's a
of course.
hard word.
And it's the kind of grief that
I can't hear you, Flint.
we must
See if I can
hold with
fix
each
that.
other. Can you hear me? Doesn't sound like you can hear. You're not able to hear, Wayne?
Now I can. Now I can.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Nice to be, nice to be amongst all of you.
And thank you for coming forward
You're
in all your
welcome.
misshapen beauty.
Thank you.
And I see that we're at the end of our time. And those of you that have your little papers here, the second small verse at the bottom, and you'll see its meaning as we say it together to end our time together. And use your voice. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Thank you, everyone, for coming as always, and thanks my friends here for joining me and for waiting on their breakfast for an extra half hour, which is also good. Maria?
There you go. Thank you so much, Flint. Appamada's programs and facilities are supported through your generosity. Your support really does make a huge difference. There is a link for contributions on the website at appamada.org/contribute. Here there's a link to give you an opportunity to offer dana to teachers such as Flint and Peg, as well as other teachers. Also, you'll see an opportunity to contribute towards other events such as classes and practice discussions. Thank you all so much. And we now move on to the next part of our evening, or not evening, morning, afternoon or evening, depending on where you are, where we all meet on the virtual porch. So please do join myself and others if you wish to continue to share and connect for a further 30 minutes. And please do take a couple of minutes break if you wish to. Thank you so much, everybody.